everyone, I'm Devin Alexander, chef on The Biggest Loser and New York Times bestselling author. I love enchiladas, so I am so excited to show you this dish today because quite frankly, eating enchiladas in restaurants is so fattening. And if you've tried to make them at home where you're dipping each enchilada in sauce, well, it's such a pain. So today, we're going to make a much simpler version, my enchilada stack. It's quick, it's easy, and it's just as gooey as anything you'd eat in a restaurant. Let's get chefed. We're gonna start by preheating our oven to 450 degrees. Then we're gonna line a baking sheet with foil. Next, pat dry your chicken. And then transfer it to a mixing bowl. Spray the breasts with spray. And season both sides with your Mexican seasoning. And then just toss it around until they're really evenly coated. Place the chicken breasts on the baking sheet and transfer it to your oven. Cook the chicken about 15 to 20 minutes or until it's no longer pink inside. Mix the enchilada sauces in a medium bowl, red and green for extra flavor. Next, pluck your cilantro leaves. Just pull the ends right off. Then roughly chop the leaves. You don't need to over chop them. And then divide them for your two dishes. Next, you're going to mix half of the cilantro with the cheese, the chilies, and the olives. Now let's chop our shallots while we're chopping everything. Now this one isn't really stable, so let's cut it in half to get a stable surface. It's a lot less likely for accidents. Then make sure that your hand is arched upward, not down over the shallot. And make a couple cuts so that you're going to have fine cuts in the end. And then just cut this way a few times. And then a quick chop. We'll keep those for our black beans. Now that we have our chopping out of the way, let's move on to our tortillas. These are really easy. Remember how I was saying that you don't want to dip each one? Here you don't have to. Tear the tortilla into 6 relatively even pieces. Very easy, it doesn't have to be perfect. Our chicken is now cool enough to chop, so I'm going to dice that. That means to cut it into little squares. If you're like me and you like bitey chunks, you can do them a little bigger or cut them a little smaller to preference. Lightly spray a loaf pan with nonstick spray. Add a 1/4 cup of sauce. You want the bottom to be covered. Then add 8 pieces of your tortilla. They don't have to be perfect, but generally even layer. Then add half of the chicken. A 1/3 of the remaining enchilada sauce. At this point, it's probably best to spoon it in. Then add a 1/3 of the cheese mixture. Next, add 8 more tortilla pieces. Can you say that line once more? The remaining chicken. 2/3 of the remaining enchilada sauce. You want to make sure you get some over all the chicken. That'll keep it from drying out. Half the cheese. The remaining tortillas. The remaining sauce. Really try to cover the whole thing if you can. And then top it with your remaining cheese. Next, cover your dish with foil. Then pop it in your oven for 25 minutes. Next, drain the beans. Just don't rinse them. Transfer the beans to the pot and turn the heat to medium. Stir them and add your cumin, shallots, cilantro, and your fresh lime juice. You want to heat the beans just so they're warm, about 5 minutes, but don't overheat them or they'll get mushy. I love the smell of the spices in this dish. Now there you have it. You just want to let that sit for 5 minutes, and I would seriously encourage you to serve this one family style. It's so much more fun that way, and it'll just look prettier. Now while we wait for that to cool down a couple minutes, let's transfer our beans to a bowl. Again, you don't want these to overcook. You just want them nice and hot, but not actually cooking so they become softer than you'd like. Look at that. The perfect meal in no time flat. Congratulations, you've been chef.